All right, we ready? So we're going to kind of go over some objections stuff, handling objections, dealing with buyers, just common things that buyers are going to say. And we actually have a document of every buyer and seller objection ever that could happen in our realm, and we will. I think we can share this out, right? This will be something that everybody will have access to.
It's in the OSA folder.
It's in the OSA folder. So this is every single objection any buyer or seller could potentially have. So what was one, Tabitha? You said they were wanting to work with the listing agent, right?
Mm-hmm, yes.
All right, so let's look here. We only want to work with the listing agent. Like, may I ask why? Right, so, and then you just shut up and listen. That's the whole thing, just shut up and listen. Well, there's two things that concern me when you say that. The first is that the listing agent is negotiating on behalf of the seller and no one is negotiating on your behalf. The second is the huge amount of time you're spending calling numerous listing agents. Anything the listing agent can tell you, I can tell you, and more importantly, I can probably tell you the whole lot more, such as what comparable properties are sold for, what they pay for the home, and what they owe on the home. And more importantly, the best properties goes before you'd ever know about them. I didn't write that. Just saying. I think Holly wrote this one. Remember, our buyer profiling system automatically alerts you of all new listings that meet your criteria as soon as they come available. Boom, boom, boom. We want to think about it before making. So, that's the whole thing. And there's one of these in here that you can use kind of around with other objections that they're going to have. So, and that was one I talked about earlier. Well, what if I can save you the extra 2% that you think you're going to save? What if I can do that for you? It's important. It's so important to me that you have representation that I think, I'll put it in writing that if I can't get it, then you can fire me. That kind of thing. Okay. So I'll make sure that everybody gets that. This is our buyer agreement. I think everybody's seen this and is well aware of it. Everybody has their own way of getting these things signed. I thought you were raising your hand. You're just ripping. Sorry.
See if there's any hair growing.
Any luck? No, not yet. Okay. So the way I do this versus the way Holly does it, it's similar, but it's a little different. I'll go through everything, and I always point out, remember, you're never under any obligation to buy a home. This is not an agreement to buy a home. It's an agreement to let me help you buy a home. That's all this is, that I'm going to be the guy to help. And then, when was the last time you bought a home? Right, I think that is something you say. And the answer is always great. Well, a lot has changed since you did that. A lot of things are different now, whatever it is. So do you know how agents get paid? Well, yeah, commissions. That's the answer. Commissions. Okay. Do you know who pays the commission? And they'll say, well, anybody but me, I hope. It's like, yeah, that's right. So the seller actually pays the commission. And at this time, I typically have some MLS sheets handy where I'm showing them, here's this one at 2%. Here's this one at 5%. It could be a piece of land. Here's one at a 2.5. Show them a DR Horton that's a flat fee of $2,300. They do that. So what you can see, buyer, is that there is a range of what agents make based on the house and based on the seller and all these criteria. So what I'm telling you is I work for 4%, period, and it's paid by the seller of the property of the home you buy at the close of sale. End of story. Does that make sense? And they say, well, yeah, how do you do it? Okay, so this is what we do. Whenever we write the offer, I'm just going to put in there the difference from what I make to what's being offered. So if it's 2% in the MLS, my fee is 4%. What's the difference? Right. So seller to pay 2% of buyer's closing costs and prepaids at close of sale, period. All right. If it's anything different than that, say it's an auction home, you can still get closing costs on auctions unless it's an all cash deal. Then you tell your client, look, so you want me to help you with an auction? There's a lot of things that go into the auction. When was the last auction house you bought? Well, we never have, this one's on the courthouse. It just seems exciting. Okay, well, I have a lot of experience. Let me show you how to do it. But what it's going to cost you is 4%. Okay, there's a 4% fee or a $5,000 flat fee paid at closing to me, for my experience, and I can probably save you this on the auction, or the amount you're going to save because it's an auction will more than pay for my fee. I've done this hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times, getting fees paid. I've lost a lot of deals myself based on, not lost deals. I've had to pay the company money. I've had to eat transaction. I mean, it just happens. But learning how to do this, I've made more money than I've lost over the course of time because I've got it collected so many times versus the ones I didn't. So just knowing that, like, this is the minimum. There's nothing that, like, at least 4%. Does that make sense? My fee is at least 4% of the purchase price. If you can negotiate 6% on a deal, there's nothing that says you can't collect 6% on the deal. Okay? The market will allow you to collect whatever we can. And right now we're at the peak. Now listings, on the other hand, whatever you can skillfully negotiate out is what you're going to get. But I just wanted to go over that so everybody kind of knew up front, like, we get it paid through closing costs, and then there's another form called Instructions to Closing Attorney, and that form gets signed as well with the offer. And well, I think we'll go over writing offers and all that good stuff. But does that make sense to everybody? Like, you know what the MLS is. They offer some sort of commission on the MLS. Something could be $1. Those pesky kings of real estate agents have $1 on some of them, and then you just ask for 4% commission or closing costs in the contract. Any questions?
You get any pushback on that?
As long as I don't have to pay it, man, I don't care. Okay, well, in the event that you do, we'll talk about it.
Does the seller generally push back on stuff like that? 'Cause I mean,
Yeah. How many offers have you written?
30, 40.
Okay. How many offers have ever contained closing costs in them for your client?
In terms of closing costs that...
Just in terms of closing cost that the seller's paying. Yeah. It's the exact same thing.
Okay, cool.
Yep. So did you get pushback on those? You maybe increased the purchase price or whatever.
Pushback on almost all of them.
Yeah. Yeah. Because of the closing cost?
Because of closing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we'll actually, further along in this, we'll
Yep.
teach you how to present offers
Yes.
to help that not happen. And I love what Tanner, because I pick up new things too. Like, I love that he demonstrates, like Todd always says, to demonstrate. Have some MLS sheets with the differences. And then you've shown them, like, I'm going to collect this from the seller this way. This is how this is going to happen. So that then when they come back and they're like, oh, I thought all of that was mine for lender and title fees. They can't, because you've already told them we're collecting the difference through your seller paid closing costs.
Yep. And anything extra if they want, if you need 2, you ask for 3, the 1% can go to them. Or you can say, well, we can credit the 1% towards the transaction fee, whatever. I do that on a last straw type of deal if the transaction fee is becoming an issue. But if you present well, what's the saying? Price is only an issue in the absence of value, or cost. Cost is only an issue in the absence of value. If you have no value, you're always going to have pushback. But by demonstrating, which is why it's important to do the actual demonstrations, that's where the value is. All these things are value added, where most agents will just, I don't know. I mean, there's other people that have been with other companies in here. Did you guys have demonstrations where you said, this is what we're going to do? These are the things we're going to do for you. Here's how we do it. The team, all that stuff. Yeah. Did you charge anything extra, or was it just whatever was on there?
It was whatever was on there.
Did you sign an agreement, or did you just show them this is
No, we signed an agreement.
for 3% most of the time? Or what would you?
No, we didn't sign an agreement that said I ate whatever the MLS said I was getting.
Okay. That's fine. But at least you're signing something that you're my client. I'm demonstrating to you why you need to be my client and I need to be your agent. Now it's, here's why you need me, and here's why I get paid what I get paid. So we're just taking it another level at that point.
Do you add the lender closing cost if there is any, along with the agent?
So it all just depends, and everybody gets caught up in the term of closing cost. Does anybody know what closing costs are?
Any fees associated with closing?
Right. So, and that's the question you ask your client. Whenever I work in Sevier County most of the time. So the people I work with don't necessarily need closing costs, right? So they're 20% down. They've got reserves. They're making 6 figures a year already. They don't need money to help close. If you need closing costs paid, dude, like, why are you buying this cabin? So you've got 80 grand down, but you don't have another $4,000. Like, you've got it. Where, you know what I'm saying? But in this market, it might be a little differently, where Holly could probably elaborate a little more on that. If you're sitting down with the first-time home buyer, you're sitting down with, an FHA deal where they've got limited funds and resources. You've got to figure out all of the costs to close, including your fee, and you've got to go to work. And it's important that you make it known to the other agent, these costs are really important to my client. They don't have any money. Like, it has to be done this way. And, well, they come back and counter, then you just counter back and just include it back in there. It's very important. I may have not expressed how important these closing costs were for my client, because the closing costs are so important that they're not going to be able to buy the house without it, right? They can't buy the house. They want the house. They can't buy it, but I need your help, seller. What can you do? And most loans are what, 3% is typical. Unless you're doing a VA or USDA, then they're more out of whack because they've got extra fees affiliated with it. But all right, let's go to our objection handling 101. I did this October 8th, 2019, and I saved it, and Tracy didn't delete it. You hear me, Tracy?
He can hear you.
I know. So Todd Walters is our titanium real estate coach. Does anybody know what that is? We are in the Craig Proctor system, and there are multiple levels of the system. It's a coaching program, okay? There's just the coachees, the people that are just in it, you know what I mean? They're new. I don't know how to say it. They're like a trainee, and they have a coach in the program. Once you start doing well in the program, they advance you up and they get you to go into a different level. So there's the platinum, and then there's titanium. So it's like the entry level. There's platinum, which is like a basic understanding of the coaching program, how to operate, and run and do certain things. And then there's the titanium level, which is the top like 30 companies in the entire program. So we are in that top 30, and Todd is our coach. And Todd is the essentially assistant of Craig, who invented the whole system. So it's Craig, Todd, then us, and then the rest of the people in the program. So we get to be with like the dude that expands and makes you think and grow and do different things. And we're the guinea pig. And then if we can do it, then they piece it out incrementally to the coaches and then to the other people. So this is what Todd says about objections. They're indicators that you're moving deeper into the sales process. You're never going to get an objection with someone until you enter into some sort of process. You're selling something. If you're just talking, it's like there's no objections. Well, let me ask you for your business. Let me try to close you. Then objections start popping up. And that just means that you've got to figure out why. So why prospects have objections: mindsets and proper communication, which is the DISC, pre-framing, and then the 7 steps to handling objections. Now, I don't have this one memorized, so I'm going to read it more than I read the other one. So it's human nature to put off a salesperson. How many of us have done that? You walk into a store and that person comes up like, "Hey, how you doing? I'm just looking," right? That's typical. Instead of, what brings you in today? That's an open community. Now nothing. So you just randomly walked in for no reason. You know what I mean? So you have to get deeper. As you know, people do not want to be sold. Your job is to anticipate the prospect's arsenal of put-off lines and respond to the line in a manner that will help them understand you have something of value that they will benefit from. In other words, to answer the prospect's unspoken question, WIFM, what's in it for me? That's that radio signal. When sitting down with a prospect, they're always thinking, for sellers, what's going to be in my pocket and how much can I shave off the commission from this guy I'm talking to? And then buyers, how can I buy the house I want at the best possible price? And then no matter how good our demo is, it's our job to anticipate their objections and have sound, solid information and advice that makes us the no-brainer in doing a transaction with. Does anybody just hate losing? Right? I despise if I go on an appointment and that person does not do business with us. It ticks me off. It's a sin that they are not doing business with me and they went to someone else. That's how bad I don't like it. Because I know if they go anywhere else, they're not going to get the experiences if they would with us. And it's not good for the consumer. They need to do business with us. That's how bad it is. So keep that in mind as you're working with people. Like you are like saving their life to do another deal. Most people only do one deal because they hate their agent. It was a terrible experience. With us, it's different. So during our appointment, we're going to use the buyer profile. We're going to do demos, the VIP demo. Do what we teach and listen, right? The art in which we respond to the prospect is where the rubber hits the road. The demos are great and well crafted to already handle some objections. However, the art of objection handling is where the true impact is felt. And it's important to pre-frame people. So, all right, fear and strategy. Prospects' objections come from fear. Fear is paying too much, the fear of past experiences from previous realtors, the fear of being locked in an agreement, the fear of not finding a home they want, nor getting their home sold. We want to take the prospect's negative or fear and turn it into a positive, or at the very least, remove the fear. Real estate is an asset. Many see it as a liability. We need to erase this fear. Let's put this in perspective. Would we be feeling, thinking the same thing they are? During the demo, most thoughts are this is awesome. So yeah, for me, like put yourself in their shoes. If they're sitting down, if like I'm doing the demo for you, like, am I presenting to you the way that I feel like you should be accepting it? You know what I'm saying? For me, if I hear it, because I love it, I'm like, man, this is good. I'm signing. Like I'm already signing prior to you guys finishing the demo. But the reality is like you don't know me. This is like words on a screen. I'm trying to sell you the reason why you need to use me. You know what I'm saying? So this is how like people have the mindset, how much is this going to cost? I personally don't want to be locked into a contract. I won't. If somebody tries to get me to sign something, nope. Try a different way. What else you got? Can you do something else? I will not sign a contract. I did this to my brother and he's like, I'm not signing that. Not happening. He went and bought a house from somebody else.
You guys are very close.
We are very close. Yeah. Super close.
Are you still close?
Absolutely. 100%. And we talked. I was like, why not? He's like, it's just business, man. I'm not doing that. It's like, you got it. Cool. Say no more. I don't help family anymore. Just kidding. Sometimes. So from my experience, some savvy prospects also use objections as a negotiating tool, knowing very well they're going to use you, but they don't show their hands. In this strategy, they'll throw us a curveball to get us to think is for better positioning. So your demo's great, but the other realtor priced it higher. You know, well, we really love what we see, but the other realtor is asking much less in commission. So you got to learn to deal with that. So that's why whenever you show up to a listing, you knock on the person's door, you ready to get your home sold? Well, it depends on how much I got in my pocket after we're done. So you know up front, they're all about price. You know, ready to sell your home? Depends on how much your commission is. So now you know their commission is the driving factor on what you have to do. Somebody walks in, you ready to go find a house? Well, it depends on if I got to sign a contract or not. So, okay. So now you know. It's just, you got to find it out. Mindset. We can handle objections very effectively by being in the right mindset. Take this to the next level. What if we can get in the prospect's mindset? Sell means they need help. Like I'm selling my home, I need you to help me, right? Example of help, if we list a home at 200, we could and can easily sell it at 200 and collect our commissions and move on. Or we could list it at 200 and sell it for 2.25. Okay? All of us would rather do that. Commission is not that much more extra, but being helpful is that 25,000. Man, I can't read. Commission is not much extra, but how helpful is that extra 25,000 to the seller? That's how I know we're in a position of helpfulness. We want to help people, not necessarily just make money while we're doing it, right? Money is a byproduct of our goods and services that we do. We're not in the business of selling homes. This is a byproduct. Cool. Our business is to build relationships and then extend these relationships. Most effective way in doing so is to come from a place of help. Know that no matter how great our demo is, some prospects will be skeptical. That's okay. We expect that and we can handle it. I'm going to skip the seller spot. Let's go down here to the buyer. Buyers believe realtors limit their opportunities. Many have multiple agents working for them. Do I have to be committed to you? Can't I just have five agents, 20, 100, whatever it is? Has anybody ever worked with, somebody said earlier, I've already got somebody in the area, right? You've worked with other people, right, Regina, that hundreds.
Yeah,
Pretty much anybody you talk to, yeah, well, I'm talking to an agent. Okay. Why? Why? Well, because the fear of missing out. I need to make sure I don't miss what's going on. Same reason they're on 100 websites. They think that if they can have 5 agents, they'll get 5 times the opportunities and benefits. That's not the case. Most people just save search and I'll just wait for you to call me till you're ready to buy a home.
I had one buyer that, this was a builder's agent. It was a very high priced house. And they said, well, if we get rid of our buyer's agent, can we get that money back to us, the buyer? I'm like, okay, goodbye.
Yeah.
You know?
Not in Tennessee, maybe somewhere else. I think they do rebates in other states. We show them the benefit that they will get more homes by working with us and only us. By simply acknowledging this to ourselves, we are ahead of the game, and we can now put ourselves in the buyer's shoes. Communication. If you let the customers talk enough, they will tell you how to listen to them. What's important to them, what they don't like, what they do like. Just let them talk. We're building and extending relationships. Remember this, while communicating, we can all sniff out a dirty sales tactic. Presenting the way team leaders train, communicate the way we do. That's Tracy King and Todd Walters. These demos and words we follow will eliminate most objections. Are you ready to get your home sold? Well, I don't know. It depends on what price you can get me. So you know now they're price motivated. Or I don't know. It depends on what you're going to charge me. Same thing with buyers. Whatever it is, just listen. Best way to handle things is to be prepared for them. The only way to be prepared is to study and train and do better and get more. You know, professional athletes aren't professional because they just wake up and go do it. They train constantly, all the time, always training their skills, learning new things, developing, doing whatever it takes. We should do the same thing. Sales is like, it's a skill. You have to learn to do sales. You have to learn to negotiate. It's not just wake up and you can do it one day. Similar to love languages, we will communicate differently to personalities. Pre-framing. Put the prospect at ease by pre-framing the entire process. This is big. Holly and I talked this morning about a situation going on, and the guy just didn't pre-frame about what was supposed to happen, when and where, and all that stuff. It's like, you get a contract on a house, well, are we set to close? If somebody says yes to that, you're wrong. Right? Because we all know that there's 100 things that are going to go wrong during that entire transaction. So unless you tell them, well, we've got to go through the home inspection. You've got to make sure your pre-qualification gets done. You get all your docs turned into your lender. Then we got to wait for appraisal. Then we'll get the inspection back. And then if it's clear, then we can remove that. But if not, we've got to negotiate. Once we negotiate, it could be, we get a credit, we get a reduced price, we get the seller to do work. Well, if the seller does work, what if it's not to our quality? Well, it's not to our quality, then we're going to go back and it's just like, the answer is not yes, we're set. It's only set once you get your sign-in. Right? Is there anybody want to add on that? I mean, pre-framing. The entire system, everything is a pre-frame. It doesn't matter what it is. I do it with my wife. Hey, we're going to church today. After church, I plan on we're probably going to go to lunch. Whenever we get home, I've got stuff I need to do, and that's going to be, probably an hour and a half. After that, the kids are going to be hungry again, and then, we could probably go out and do X, Y, and Z. If you're not pre-framing, practice it. It's fun. I'd do that with objections as well. We'll go over that in a minute. Let's see. The reason we're going to go through this demo is to show you what we do differently, what we do behind the scenes. This will allow you to get the home you want at your price, and then we'll talk about, finding off-market homes. So this was obviously done for a listing, but it's important that we'll go over this for listings too. Number 1. Look at that. We're good. That's good. All right, who wants to read number 1?
Listen, we have one mouth and 2 ears for a reason, so we need to listen twice as much as we talk. Listen to understand.
Yeah, so these are all steps with handling objections. You can't handle an objection unless you actually know what the objection is. And if you're just surface listening, they're going to sniff that out and you're not going to be able to help them. So we need to listen. And then you need to understand. So repeat the objection back to the prospect. So for instance, it was, well, I'm not paying that transaction fee. Okay, so aside from the transaction fee, is there anything else that you have an issue with? Because if so, we need to go ahead and throw it on the table. But if the transaction fee is the only problem, I want to make sure that's it. Because we need to talk about it. Yeah, just the transaction fee, that's it. There's nothing else wrong. I love everything. I'm just not paying that fee. Okay. Then you cushion. Hey, great, that's a great observation. Many people in the past had the same concern as you. You're not alone in thinking that this transaction fee shouldn't be paid. Okay. You want to isolate it. All right, so beside that, is there anything else that you have questions about? Nope. Okay, well, here's why we charge the transaction fee. You just answer it. You deal with it. We have a whole team, which we've already talked about in the demo. We have the ISA department. I have the people that are going to maintain the contracts. We have the title companies, the lenders. We're going to set everything up for you, right? You're going to get the buyback guarantee and the home warranty. Does that work? Does this make sense? Are you ready to move forward? Are you comfortable with that? Is there any other questions? If yes, okay, well look, besides the transaction fee, I just want to make sure, besides that, is there's no other issues at all. Like we have a good relationship. You're fine with what I'm telling you. Yes, I am. Okay, well let's do this. And then maybe you have to deal with a little bit. How about you pay half and I'll pay half? Are you okay with that? Or what if we get the seller to pay for it? What if I just write on here, you are not responsible for the transaction fee at all? Is that okay? Are you okay with that? Now will you sign? Misty, will you sign? No? Why not? Aside from that, what else is going on? Yeah. Tabitha, what do you got? Anything? You have any issues? Anybody have any issues signing a buyer agreement?
Are those the two main ones that have come up?
Getting representation, yeah.
Yeah, that one's hard. I mean, I can represent you for free.
I've just had the one guy that didn't want to pay the $9.97.
Yeah.
That's been fine.
I'll just write on here, you're not responsible, Mr. Buyer. Is that okay? Will you sign if I do that? Yes, I will. Or no. Okay, then there's another issue, right? I have people say, well, I'm not signing, I'm already talking to 5 other people, so I'll sign, or if you bring me the house, then I'll use you for that house. Okay, well, I can't do that, so let's do this. I'll just say only homes that I send you, will I get paid on, that kind of thing. And then you're going to be held to what we've signed here. Transaction fee, commission, the whole 9 yards. Because investors will do that. They'll come in and they'll just want to look, talk to this listing agent, go to this guy, see here, do that. And I'm not going to go out for free. If I showed you 15 homes or 8 homes, we're going to label them out. And if you buy one, I'm getting paid. Has anybody ever been saved by a buyer's rep? Meaning you signed with someone, they went and bought a house with someone else, and then you got paid still? It's really cool.
Have you gotten that?
Multiple times.
That's good.
Totally worth it.
Yeah. And the reason why they're working with 5 other agents, why do you think they are? Besides it being an investor, because investors are fear of missing out. And also it is because most agents, because we can all attest to this who worked for different agencies, okay? We were just like meeting Zillow leads wherever they were, and maybe I had about 50 to 75 people I'm trying to keep up with. Well, here, I'm only working with the people that I'm signing and they're signing with me. So my pipeline is much less than all the other agents at the other agencies who are just like, oh, if I remember Joe was looking for this, then I'll call him up. And so that's the type of service they're used to, because you've got to think, most people, how many people do you run across that are like, I loved my realtor? Like, how often do you hear that? Doesn't happen.
I've got a couple of reviews for that, but I'm just not.
Well, but our agency is different,
Right.
and that's why we work off of referrals and reviews. And we actually do get repeat clients, because now I'm only dedicating my time to people who want to work with me. I know my threshold of how many buyers I can work with at any given time, how many sellers I can work with, and I'm not going over that threshold, because if I do, no matter how good you are, you will drop the ball and you will get fired. It's just life. We all have our limits.
Yep. So I just closed out on a deal Friday. I did not go to closing.
What? You don't have to go to closing, Tanner?
Well, I didn't.
That's actually later on.
So he said, hey, Tanner, Sandy and I want to thank you and Megan for the great work at Kings of Real Estate. We're informing all of our friends and neighbors about our sale and you. It's a surprise to all of us because of the sales price. We wish you the best. So
That's awesome.
those become normal once you start like really focusing on relationships instead of money. It's really cool. The dude is a deep sea scuba diver, so that was fun. He wanted to take me scuba diving. I said, no way, dude. I ain't getting
You
it.
build respect too when you say my time is worth some money.
Yes.
and it's
Yeah.
value, then they value you more
Yep.
also. I've noticed that. you
That's
know,
true.
in dealing with 16 years of buyers, except for the last 2 years I quit on.
Yeah. Has anybody ever fired a buyer? Yeah, you're allowed to do that here, because if they don't fit within our scope or our lane of business, it's going to be really, we'll go off-roading with these people, right? It just won't be fun. Well, it'll be fun. Off-roads are fun. So let's use a different analogy. I don't know. If they're not in our lane, we just can't help them, because we do things a certain way, and if people think they can do it their own way, it doesn't work. So the only way that we can work with people is by signing the agreements, and if we sign them and then they end up still not functioning the way we need them to, we got to just cut them loose, because they're going to drag the whole company down. They'll drag you down, your admin down, they'll just wear everybody out.
You do need to talk to me about it first, because we
Absolutely.
do need to make sure it's not a training issue.
Only the broker can actually sign the mutual
Right.
release. So
Okay, so when I get to that threshold, people I know I'm good working with, so I just let you know.
Yeah, you block your calendar because you've got to catch up. That's the way you do it. And there are times when it's like, I had one buyer who, they were driving me crazy. Like, high seas are just difficult for me. They are. And so,
what's a high C?
like in the
Does anybody know what that is?
we're going over it later, aren't we? In your
Oh.
thing? They're conscientious, and they're just more difficult because I'm not, but I'm learning. And so I went out of town on vacation, and I was like, Bart would be awesome for these people because everyone loves Bart, okay? So then I come home from vacation and I call her up, and she's like, Holly, we actually really like Bart and want to use him instead. And I was like, thank you, Jesus. And that is the great thing about a team, because there are times when you don't mesh with people. So you can't just willy-nilly like fire every buyer or
Yeah.
every seller. Like, you do have to talk to me. But there are probably reasons,
Yep.
and then we can move them and transfer them and that sort of thing.
Yep. So really it's 5 steps, because these checkbacks and redirects are maybe not for us. But listen, understand, cushion, isolate, and answer. That's the 5 steps to really dealing with an objection. So, like I said, I do these with my wife if she has problems. I objection handle and figure out what the actual issue is. Aside from me going to the gym 8 days, a week, or 8 times a week, is there any other problems that we have? Well, I just would really like to spend more family time. Okay. That's great. So, then you just go through with it. If I can fit that into our schedule, would you be willing to go ahead and move forward? That's all I have on the objection handling, but I don't know where the disc stuff is, because this is not it. The love language stuff?
Oh, was it love language?
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that one.
Okay, well, we won't go over it.
Yeah, I don't want to go over that. I don't think that's fitting. Who wants to, did anybody write down the 5 steps to objection handling? What you got? What's number 1?
Listen, understand, cushion, isolate, answer.
Got it. That's 1 through 5. I like it.
I'm calling it Lucia. I acronym everything.
What is it?
Lucia.
Lucia?
Oh, listen, understand, cushion, isolate, answer. That's great.
It's a memory tool.
It's
That's
that
really
military
good.
stuff that you weren't in, but surrounded by.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right, I think
What's next?
18.